Thank you for plugging into this Family Life News podcast, streaming issues-driven, family-focused news.
Welcome back to another edition of Issues in Education. Mondays during the Noon Report, we spotlight the issues impacting our schools with Dr. Ralph Kerr at the Teaching and Learning Institute. And Ralph, we find you at the New York State School Board's conference today. That's in Buffalo, New York, held every year. In a sentence or two, Ralph, tell us what this gathering's all about.
Well, there are over 1,500 school board members and superintendents and other interested people at the convention, and there's several common themes in terms of the workshops. One that I went to was about teacher shortages. I didn't see that they had any real answers to that, and maybe there aren't any. And school safety is a big issue. Interesting presentation on electric buses, which you and I have talked about in the past, and then budgeting processes, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Lots of exhibitors. Good for me to see some old friends from days when I was active as a superintendent. Good time was had by all, including me.
That's awesome. And you mentioned one of those issues, school safety. Kids behaving badly is a huge topic. I saw recently a 15-year-old female student arrested for assaulting her teacher in Buffalo. We can't go a day without seeing something where teachers and students and staff just don't feel safe at school. What's to blame for these behavioral problems? I know it's probably a more complicated topic than we have time for today, Ralph.
Well, it is a tragedy that this is happening. Unfortunately, it's part of our society today. And put very succinctly, I think it's just a general disrespect that young people have for authority, whether it's teachers or police or maybe even their own parents. I feel badly for teachers who are trying to teach, and some of them are spending the majority of their day really dealing with behavioral issues.
Yeah.
We've got to do something about it, and I hope it starts soon.
Yeah, and I hope it starts in the home soon, because it's
right.
Mom and Dad have to set the example, which leads me to this. I thought this was really interesting. A representative in Pennsylvania named Frank Burns wants to hold parents responsible if their children are involved in school bullying, if they're the perpetrators of school bullying. His bill could force parents to pay a fine and perform community service, also mandates parenting classes on bullying. Ralph, is that the right way to go in dealing with this problem?
It's certainly a creative way to attempt to deal with it, but I don't believe it's one that would have success. I sure hope the bill wouldn't pass in Pennsylvania or anywhere else for that matter. Parents do need to take responsibility for their students' behavior, but I don't think this is the way to go about it at all.
Yeah, that could really cause some problems, I imagine, in the Keystone State. Well, back to New York, and it's almost Election Day, Ralph. I know you're counting down the days, and one of the two proposed constitutional amendments that everyone gets to decide on this year has to do with borrowing limits for school districts in small cities. Explain, if you would, this referendum, Ralph, and whether or not you think it's a good idea.
Yeah, this is a really important issue, and I do encourage people to vote yes for this constitutional amendment. There are 55 school districts in the state that are classified as small city districts. And right now, small cities are limited to 5% borrowing of all of their combined property value. Any other school district in the state can deal with up to 10% borrowing against their property values. So over the years, this has really put small cities in a real hole. Instead of doing one large project, they have to do several small projects. And all that does is add costs, because every year, as you know, costs of everything is going up. So again, I encourage people to vote yes on this constitutional amendment, even though you may not live in a small city, but it certainly will help your friends and neighbors who do live in small cities throughout the state.
Gotcha. Thanks for that counsel, Ralph. And before we go, we'd be remiss not to bring up that holiday that people celebrate tomorrow. It's a yearly, I won't say it, but you know what I'm talking about. It's a yearly debate that a lot of Christian parents, you got it. He's picking up what I'm laying down, folks. It's a debate that a lot of Christians deal with every year. I know I asked my son the other day, I said, do they still do these costume parties in school? And he said, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been in elementary school. But what's your counsel to parents who are in that boat today?
Well, you know, this normally happens at the elementary school, and kids do dress up. In some communities, you know, they parade around the community community. They play games. I talked to some teachers just within the last week about this, and their general take is, hey, this is a case of kids having some fun. One of the teachers said to me, well, I had a Jehovah's Witness last year, and the parents just opted to keep him home.
Yeah.
So I guess that might be one solution would be if you don't like it and your school district is involved in a Halloween parade, then that might be an occasion to just have your child stay home. But I don't think we should be prohibiting other children from having fun. Certainly there are some costumes that we may not like, but a lot of the costumes are really fun and kids really get into it. Yep. So I think there's good counsel can be had there.
Yes, and we love what you have to say every week, Ralph. I always like to say major in the majors and minor in the minors. And you have wonderful advice on all these topics. If you want to learn more about that constitutional amendment on Election Day in New York, what's it all about? Ralph, you have a wonderful website where folks can go and learn more. What is that?
Thank you, Bob. It's been great to be with you again. Simply, our website is whyrun.org. whyrun.org.